Hello students, and welcome back to art lessons. My name is Julia Ha and I am your teacher for these lessons. Today we're heading into lesson number 4. So congratulations on making it this far. I'm guessing that your artwork is getting really good, especially with all the practice that you've been putting in. So welcome to lesson 4. Today we're going to be talking about perspective.
I'm going down to Phnom Penh on a Batam bomb, doing my research for this song. Picked up a bus and I went to Siem Reap.
So, what is perspective? It's a little bit confusing, but let's just break it down. So, here's my piece of paper, okay? So the piece of paper is flat. So it's thin, it's flat. When an artist draws on paper or creates a painting on canvas, that's called two-dimensional format. 2 dimensions. 1, 2. Okay? 3-dimensional objects. So think about the world that you exist in. Look around you. We are not flat like a piece of paper. We are round, so we have all different angles. So we have front and back and side. So there's a lot of dimension. We live in a 3-dimensional world. But what happens when you want to put those 3-dimensional objects onto a 2-dimensional piece of paper? Today we're going to learn a trick on how to do that. So when you begin to think about perspective and in getting your objects and the world onto this piece of paper, you're creating an illusion. An illusion is something that you might see that you think is real. So it gives it dimension. So let's just go ahead and look at a picture. So I took this photograph in, here, let me go ahead and move to the side, okay? Because we got to make space for the picture. So I took this photograph in Phnom Penh, Cambodia a few years ago. And I just want to point out some of the perspective that we have going on here. So perspective is just the way that something appears in the world or in a photograph, okay? So if you look at the buildings, you'll see buildings that are closer, and then you'll see buildings that are much farther away. So the buildings that are closer appear to be bigger, and then the buildings that are farther away appear to be smaller. So how in the world do we get that on paper? It seems so confusing, doesn't it? Well, there's a simple way to show perspective. We're just gonna start with the simplest way that you can do perspective. So just like in this picture, we will do a city scene today because it's a little bit easier with the structures of the buildings or houses. So we're gonna start with a city scene, okay? So we have a little bit of buildings in there, and that way we can start with some straight lines. So what materials will you need today? Well, as always, we're gonna need a little bit of paper. We're gonna need a pencil. And today we're also gonna need a ruler or a straight edge. So you can use anything as long as you have a straight edge, you're good. So you could even use a piece of paper that you can use the edge of. So you just need something straight that will give you a nice straight line, okay? So don't worry if you don't have a ruler, just find a piece of paper or anything laying around your house. So if you don't have a ruler, you can also use the edge of a book. So as long as the line is straight, that's all we need. We just need something that will give us a straight line. So let's dive in on how you can draw your very first perspective drawing. It's easier than you might think, okay? So don't get too discouraged. So before we begin, I want to talk about horizon. What is horizon? Horizon is simply a word that talks about the straight line in the distance. So for example, if you were looking at a picture of water, look at the straight line right there in the distance. That is known as the horizon. So on the horizon is also called a vanishing point. And I'll put that right up here. Vanishing point. The vanishing point is where when you look, you can no longer see the object. Everything disappears. So the vanishing point is where all the buildings and the trees and the objects that you're seeing, you can no longer see. Let's go ahead and draw this because it'll be easier for you to understand when you see this on paper. As I mentioned, we're going to start with a horizon line. So remember, the horizon line is that line on the distance that feels like the edge of the world. It's just a simple straight line. So let's go ahead and draw a simple straight line. So this is called the horizon. Okay, and the horizon goes that way and that way. So it's just the straight line that you'll see in the distance. We're gonna think about the vanishing point, which is that area where everything leads toward and disappears. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw a little dot. Okay, that's it, just a little dot. Now, let's think about this dot as being the end of a road, okay? So this is where your eye looks. Let's create two lines. Everything is going to go toward this dot. So everything that you draw is going to go right into this dot. This is called the vanishing point. And I'll show you what I mean. So take your ruler, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw two lines. We're gonna go one, and now take your ruler, and then we're gonna go two. Okay, so this is your vanishing point right here. And then imagine that this is the area that's closest to you. Okay, so you're standing somewhere around here. Okay, so this is you. You're looking all the way up here. You see how this almost looks like a road now? Have you ever looked down a road and seen it look like this? It almost looks like it disappears, doesn't it? So that's exactly what this is. This is the vanishing point. Vanishing point. Now that you have your horizon and your vanishing point drawn, now you can begin to draw a house. So how do we do that? Well, we think about the shape of a house, okay? So what shape is a house or a building? Well, it's a square, right? But how do you draw the side of the house that's along the road? So you might have the square, and this is what you're seeing. So this is a house. Okay. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna think about the vanishing point, take your ruler, and we're gonna continue the building. Okay. You see how this line goes all the way up to the vanishing point? Now we're gonna do the same with this line, okay? So from this point. So here we go, let's connect this line to this, okay? Okay? And so remember that these lines right here, so anything that goes this way, horizontal, is going to be the same as this, okay? So we have everything leading up to here, and then we have the horizontal, okay? So what about this part of the house? Well, let's go ahead and do the ruler, and we're going to continue the line up. And then what about the sides of the house? Well, the side is going to be exactly like this. So the side of your square. So we're just going to go like this. And remember, everything in line with this. So here we go. And now you have a building. Let's try one more, okay? So remember, we have the vertical lines, the horizontal lines, and the diagonal lines, okay? 1, 2, 3. We're gonna start with the horizontal. Let's do a building right here. So let's go. Remember, this is in line with the horizon. There we go. One more. Okay, so we have 2 lines here. Now we're gonna go vertical. So up. And then one more. But now what? How do we get it to look like this? Do you remember? Okay, we're gonna start from each corner. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're all gonna go toward this vanishing point. So here we go. Let's start with 1. We'll make this a long one. 2. 3. 4. Now we're gonna go for the vertical lines once again. So think about here. And then we're gonna go for the horizontal lines, remember. Okay, so here we are. And there's another building. So you can go ahead and use your eraser. Don't be afraid. You can use your eraser to erase any lines. So now that you can see these buildings here, okay, what about putting a window in or a door? Well, the windows and doors and everything on the building are going to be the same as this. So let's put a window right here, okay? We're going to go for our vertical line. vertical line. But then look, everything's gonna go toward this. So let's go like that and like this. So you see how the window here is on the side? And once you get more comfortable with it, you could even, you know, draw the lines in. This one will be like this. So this one, we're looking at straight ahead. This one's not gonna be, it's only the pieces existing on the side of the plane, okay? So you're not gonna create a door like this. You know what I mean? It's only gonna be along the edges of this line. Just play with vanishing point. Think about your horizon, and all of this creates perspective. So this is all just a way of seeing. This is all just a point of perspective. Okay, so how can we use perspective or vantage point with just a simple object? Let's start with a square, which is one of the easier objects. So very simple. You can even just freehand this. Don't worry about using the ruler. Here's our square. Now, remember how we did the vantage point or the vanishing point? Remember how we did the vanishing point on the building drawing? Well, you can do the same thing with a square, okay? So we have our square here, and we'll put the vanishing point right up here. So no need to do a horizon. We'll just work with this one vanishing point. So then you're gonna take your ruler, okay? And then we'll connect each corner of the square to this dot, okay? Here we are. Let's go from here. And that's the vanishing point. What happens if we want to change where this vanishing point is? Well, you can actually move this, and I'll show you how. So let's draw another square. What if this vanishing point is over here? So instead of straight ahead, it's a little bit off to the side. Same thing. You're gonna take your ruler, draw the line, draw the line. But look, we have one more to connect. So let's add this one. And draw the line. Do you see how that changed? What happens if it's down here? Same thing. We're gonna take the line, this square, and this square. See? So the vanishing point can change, but you'll want to bring all of your points, all of your lines up to the vanishing point. Well, students, I really hope that you enjoyed today's lesson. Today's lesson, just to let you know, is a little bit more difficult. It's a little bit harder. So if you don't understand at first, just take time to practice, okay? That's the most important thing here. Don't worry if you're a little bit confused. Just keep drawing, and remember that it will take time and effort to become a skilled artist. Not all artists use perspective. So as an artist, you can do whatever you want. That's the awesome part about being an artist. You make your own rules. I'm just here to show you some of the foundations that can get you to a point where you feel comfortable, and then you can break the rules. These rules are just there to practice, but at the end of it, when you're ready and you have good foundational skills like the shading and the perspective and the materials, then you can do whatever you want because you carry the vision as the artist. So thank you so much for joining me today for lesson 4. I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson, and have a beautiful day.